I took the job at the Kismet Speedy Mart because my choices had dried up. Not in some made-for-TV melodrama way, but in the slow, humiliating grind that real life prefers. 3 months late on rent, my car coughing like a chain smoker with pneumonia every time I turned the key, and a resume so full of holes it looked like Swiss cheese shot with buckshot. When Dale rang and said the graveyard shift was mine if I wanted it, I didn't ask questions. I should have. Kismet, Ohio isn't a destination. It's the kind of town you land in only when every map has failed you. The Speedy Mart crouched at the town's ragged edge, a lone rectangle of buzzing light afloat in a black sea of corn and night. Even at noon, the place looked defeated, as if the building itself had given up on being useful. I showed up for my first shift at 10:45 p.m. on a Tuesday that already felt like Thursday. Dale was waiting behind the counter, looking like someone had drained half his blood since the interview 2 days earlier. His eyes were sunken, circled by bruises that spoke of years without real sleep, not just a rough weekend. He clutched a coffee he never drank like it was the last normal thing on earth. "You're early," he said, and it sounded like an accusation. Thought I'd get the feel of the place before. He cut me off. "Just don't die." He slapped a battered 3-ring binder onto the counter hard enough to make the register chirp. The cover had once been black faux leather. Now it was the color of old dishwater. Night shift protocols was scrawled along the spine in frantic marker. "These are the rules," Dale said, flipping it open to pages yellowed and laminated like holy relics. "You follow every single one, every night, no shortcuts, no I know better." I actually laughed, because what else can you do? "Come on, Dale. This some kind of rookie prank? Fake haunted gas station?" He didn't blink. "Read them. Follow them. Try not to be a hero. Just make it to morning." He grabbed his jacket like the store was on fire, and he just remembered he left the stove on. At the door, he paused, hand on the handle, and for 1 second I thought he'd offer something human. Instead, he looked back with something that might have been pity. "Good luck," he said. "You're gonna need it." The door chimed its happy little tune as he fled. I watched his taillights vanish down the empty highway, heading anywhere but here. The fluorescents hummed overhead. I was alone. I flipped open the binder. Let's see what kind of corporate nonsense we're dealing with. The first page was a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy, but the words were still legible. At the top, in the same shaky marker, the 10 rules for the night shift. Rule 1 nagged at me first. Your shadow belongs to you. If a second, darker one lags behind, run to the walk-in beer cooler. The light in there forces it to resync. I snorted. Resync. Cute. Rule 2. A woman in a drenched dress will ask to use the phone. Send her to the busted payphone outside. If she dials from inside, she'll ring your house and the water will begin to rise. By Rule 5, I was grinning the shaky grin of someone realizing the joke might not be a joke. Each instruction grew stranger, more specific, written less like policy, and more like the last will and testament of terrified men. The final one was almost mundane. Rule 10. A man in a long black coat will purchase 1 black candle before closing. He is the auditor. Hand him this binder with your left hand. If he accepts it, you lived through the night. I closed the binder and slid it beneath the register. Whatever. Minimum wage, quiet hours. How bad could it be? The first stretch was pure boredom. Trucker at 11:30 for coffee and smokes. Nurse at midnight for energy drinks and jerky. Teen at 12:45 pumping gas with weed-scented 20s. Normal, safe, human. I restocked candy, wiped the cappuccino station, tried not to notice how my reflection multiplied in every window until I couldn't tell which version was actually me. At 2:33 a.m., the lights started to scream. Not buzz, scream. A rising electrical keen that scraped inside my teeth. The air filled with ozone so sharp it tasted like pennies. The radio dissolved into white noise that almost formed words. I lunged for the binder, hands shaking, found Rule 6. When the lights strobe and the air smells of ozone, kill every radio. Silence feeds it. Play the classic rock CD until the episode passes. Music fractures its frequency. I killed the radio. The silence that followed was worse, thick, listening. I found the dusty CD player, the single cracked jewel case labeled classic rock hits in dying marker. The lights strobed like a seizure. Shadows jerked in impossible directions. A whisper rode the silence, tasting my name. I slammed the disc in, mashed play. 10 eternal seconds. Then Joan Jett blasted I Love Rock and Roll. Instantly the strobing slowed, the ozone faded, the cold retreated. The whisper snapped off mid-syllable. I stood clutching the counter, drenched in sweat, listening to a 20-year-old song save my life. I read every rule again, twice, memorized them like scripture. At 3:02 a.m., I heard children laughing in aisle 3. Security cameras showed nothing, but the laughter was real, bright, wrong. I walked back there clutching the binder like a crucifix. At the end of the aisle, under the flickering exit sign, stood a brother and sister in antique clothes, pale skin, black eyes, holding hands. "Hello," the girl said sweetly. "Will you play with us?" "No," I answered, voice steadier than my heart. "I'm working." They tilted their heads, exactly the same angle I'd used seconds earlier. Then again, copying the tiny shift when I scratched my neck. Echoes, not children. I shut my eyes and counted to 30 while small, cold hands gripped my wrists and tried to drag me into whatever place they came from. At 30, I opened my eyes. Empty aisle. Red fingerprints fading on my skin. 3:24 a.m. A woman crossed the parking lot leaving wet footprints that steamed. Soaked dress, bare blue feet, eyes full of drowning. "Please," she begged inside the door. "I need the phone." "There's a payphone outside to the left," I said gently. "It's broken, but it works for emergencies." Her face went blank. The tears kept falling, but the humanity drained out. She walked to the ruined payphone, lifted the dangling receiver, spoke to no one. Then she turned. Her face became television snow. Inside the static, the same woman thrashed underwater forever. Then she melted into rain. 3:33 a.m. The door chimed, though no one entered. I announced, "We're closed for cleaning," and felt the building exhale. Then a sixth pump appeared, gray, impossible between 4 and 5. I hesitated one fatal second because a real customer was still pumping gas. When he left, I looked again, directly this time, and the world went dark. Everything died. Only the security monitor glowed with raging static. From it crawled a thing wearing Dale's face but made of corrupted video. It screamed Dale's death scream on loop, begged in Dale's voice, then wore my face and asked which of us was real. I remembered a private, painful memory the thing couldn't have recorded. The copy faltered. Then the man in the long black coat arrived, bought his single black candle, and accepted the binder from my left hand. The false me shattered into noise and was sucked back into the broken monitor in a storm of sparks. Dawn bled across the corn. Real Dale walked in, saw the wreckage, nodded the nod of shared damnation. "Go home," he said. "Sleep if you can." I drove away as the sun rose gold over endless rows of corn. The radio hissed for one heartbeat, then played some meaningless pop song. I would be back tonight, tomorrow. Every night until my eyes went hollow and I handed the binder to the next desperate fool. Some stains don't wash off.